when people come, Toby, to an event, the majority of those people, whether they're conscious of it or not, their brains and bodies are in the past.
Yes.
They live by certain familiar emotions, and certain thoughts that are connected to certain emotions condition their body to feel a certain way. Like you think about your I don't know, as an example, you think about your financial problems as an example, and people feel lack. Other people think about their ex and they feel resentment. Other people think about their new career and they feel fear. So they're combining a thought and a feeling, and when you have a thought in the form of a symbol and combined with a feeling, the conditioning process starts. So you keep thinking the same way, you keep making the same choices, you keep doing the same things, you keep creating the same experiences, you keep producing the same emotions. For the most part, your brain and body are in the past. So then the first couple days of an event are week-long events, and we've got thousands and thousands of brain scans, thousands and thousands of heart rate readings.
How do we know it? We measure it.
We measure everything. We have it all. And we now know that there's a formula that if you follow the formula, then you are going to slowly overcome yourself. So how do we overcome ourselves? Well, you got to take your attention off your body, which is where most people's attention are. You got to take your attention off the people in your life. The stronger the emotion that you have associated with some person, good or bad, the more you pay attention to them. So you got to take your attention off those people. You got to take your attention off your cell phone, your computer, the things you own, the place you sit, the place where you live, the place you work. And you got to get beyond time, thinking about the future or the familiar past. And that's what we call getting beyond the self. So we give people numerous opportunities to get beyond their past, present reality and their personality that's connected to the past. And we work with having them find the sweet spot of that present moment. Now, once they hit that sweet spot of the present moment, Toby, that's, according to the quantum model, where all possibilities exist. So when you're not your body, you're not the people in your life, the things you own, the place you live, the place you work, or time itself, you take away all those things, the only thing you're left with is consciousness. You're an awareness. So you reached an elegant moment where you dissociated from your identity. And in 1 second, you were in a field of possibilities, and your brain downloaded a probable future. And the vision was so real, and it had a strong electrical signal that went along with it, and you could not pay attention to it. So the stronger you felt that signal, the more you were seeing that future, and all of a sudden your brain and body move out of your past, present reality. And in that moment, you're living in the future, in the present moment, and you're rewiring your brain, and you're sending a new electrochemical signature to your body. And your body is believing it's living in that future. You're changing your gene expression. You're changing your protein expression. You're changing the way your brain thinks, the way it feels. And all of a sudden, you know what your future looks like. Now, we want everybody to have that experience, because you could be sick, you could be overweight, you could be vegetarian, you could be white, you could be black, you could be Asian, you could be rich, you could be poor. You could never have meditated before. In fact, our research shows people like you that never meditated before are
virgins.
You're not trying to make anything happen. You're just curious to see what's going to happen, and that's the beauty behind that. So you had a moment where you downloaded information from the field and you saw future, and you now know that that's your future. This is relatively new technology. What we're doing is we're piercing a veneer. It's like the 4-minute mile. Once the 4-minute mile was broken by one person, then all of a sudden everybody started doing it. So we're breaking this consciousness, this level of consciousness, that we need something outside of us to change how we feel inside of us. And we're teaching people how to self-regulate without anything outside of them. So we are working, we do seminars for children. We do seminars for companies and organizations. We do seminars for athletes, and all of it is the same, but we're just teaching it with a little different slant to fit into child's development, to fit in with a sports athlete. But we're at a point now where the technology is reproducible, and that's what I care about the most, because anything that's reproducible, if you follow that formula, is science, and we now know that it's working. So now we got a lot of momentum, and people are breaking through. And I want to say something about certain people that didn't have the experience. They probably had it the next day, or the next day, or when they got home and they fell asleep on the couch. It always comes because we're always creating reality. While technology is getting better, we're asking better questions, we can measure more. But there is a researcher named Rene Piaget. And Piaget was interested in seeing if the power of thoughts and feelings, or intentions and emotions, could have an effect on reality. So he took some baby chicks, and when baby chicks hatch, their first few days, they imprint to their mother. Mm-hmm. So he took a robot that was a random event generator, which means that the robot would turn 50% of the time to the left and 50% of the time to the right. But the order in which it does that is random. But it's like a coin toss. The majority of the time, it works out to be 50-50. Mm-hmm. So he dressed this random event generator up like a hen. And when the baby chicks were born, they began to imprint or bond with the random event generator. So then he took the robot and he put it in an arena, an open arena, and he just let the robot go. And as you would expect, the robot covered the entire area of the arena equally, on the left side and the right side. In the second experiment, he took the baby chicks and he put them in a cage on one side of the arena. And then he released the random event generator again. And 100% of the time, the random event generator moved in the direction of the baby chicks. And it's an official record. So the question is, if 3-day-old baby chicks can influence a random event generator to move towards the side that they're on, that their thoughts and intentions had that kind of effect with their tiny little brains, what could you and I do? So Einstein talked a lot about everything in reality being frequency, that you and I are constantly emitting vibration, frequency, and information, because all frequency carries information. So the baby chicks had a single-minded focus. They weren't thinking about their bladders. They weren't thinking about food. They weren't thinking about time. They weren't thinking about their bank account. They had one thing on their mind, and that was mommy. Mm-hmm. They had a very clear intention. By the same means, their feeling is love, because that's how they bond with, there's an energy of love. So when you combine a thought and a feeling, you produce an electromagnetic field. Mm-hmm. So I always say thought is the electrical charge and feelings are the magnetic charge, and how we think and feel broadcasts an electromagnetic signature. So is it possible then that when they do that, they're able to influence three-dimensional reality? Why is that significant for you and I? Because if you apply that to a future that you're creating, then if you're creating from the field and not from matter, not as your body, not as your personality, not as things, but as an awareness in the field, then it's entirely possible then that you don't have to go anywhere to get what you need. Like go get your money, go get your new job, go get your new relationship, or go get your health. That's matter to matter, and it takes time to do that. But when we can create a coherent brain, and our research shows that our students can, and a coherent heart, and our students are very good at that, then you're emitting a very organized, coherent field. And if you're creating from the field, and the field creates matter, then you will draw your reality to you. You don't have to go anywhere. You start having synchronicities, opportunities, synchronicities. And the moment you start seeing your reality unfolding equal to your energy, you're going to believe you're more of the creator of your reality and less of a victim of your reality. And you're going to do it again.
Right.
And you're going to do it again. And you're going to do it again. And it's going to become a skill. Most people, look, in this three-dimensional reality that's made of matter, the world of materialism that we define with our senses, we experience separation. There's you there and there's me here. And there's space between us. If there's space between us, there's time between us. And so then that people have their sense of self, and then they have a sense of their vision, their dream. And where do we create our dream? Way out there.
Right.
So then we're separate from our dream. Our brain automatically creates a future. So we have to go get that future, right? So then people spend the majority of their lives living in lack, waiting for the event to happen to take away their emptiness or their lack. That's Newtonian physics. That's cause and effect. Waiting for something out there to make this feeling go away. And if you're living by the feeling of lack, you're creating more lack because that feeling's driving certain thoughts. So what we teach people to do is how to open this beautiful center called your heart. Because when you start elevating your emotional state, and you can really make this a practice, your body begins to emit a very coherent magnetic field that's up to 3 meters wide. And now that's an energy, and that energy is a frequency, and that frequency can carry information. It can carry the thought of your health. It can carry the thought of your wealth. Suffering can't carry the thought of your wealth. It just doesn't align with the frequency.
The very first step is you have to become aware of your current thinking. Most people don't realize that their thoughts are in the toilet, that they're listening and to themselves say negative things about 70,000 times a day.
70,000.
70,000. There are some research studies that are showing it's higher than that. And the other thing that's more startling is that they're mostly repetition. They're the same thoughts. There are things like, I'm not good enough, it's not going to work out, this stuff works for other people, works for Joe Vitale, but it doesn't work for me, works for the people in the secret, but it doesn't work for me. They want to do things, but they think, the economy's wrong, the president's wrong, the timing is wrong, I don't have enough education, I don't have enough experience. All of these kinds of negative thoughts keep people shut down. They don't go for their dreams. They react to life. They kind of crawl through life with no enthusiasm, no sort of energy, and no belief in themselves or the possibilities of something better. What the law of attraction is teaching people is that you have a choice. You can change your thinking. One way to look at this is the thoughts you're having right now are primarily negative. So that's the first thing to notice. The thoughts are primarily negative. Second one is, they're not your thoughts. You are separate from your thoughts. And this is massive, earth-shaking news if somebody's hearing it for the very first time. There have been books that are called, You Are Not Your Mind, You Are Not Your Brain. And what they're saying is, these thoughts that we're having them. We're not that. That we can detach enough to go, oh, here comes that I'm not good enough thought again, and let it go by. We are one step removed from it. Now we've clipped off that energy that's causing us to feel bad because of that thought. So that's the second step, is to become aware that I'm not my thoughts. Third step is to start to generate what you do want to think. And this is with things like affirmations, positive thinking, positive statements. Instead of saying I'm not good enough, begin to say I am good enough. Begin to say this can work out for me. If this material has worked for other people, why can't it work for me too? I'm human, they're human, and you can start to rebuild your software of the mind, if you will. And these are all elements. There's read it in detail, is like what you're going to tend to bring into your life, the things that you think about a lot. Most people think about the things they're afraid of, things they're worried about. I tell people, why don't you start thinking about the things you love, the things you're passionate about? You're going to go in a new direction. You'll be happier, you'll be healthier, you're going to have better momentum, better enthusiasm. So the repetition of that is going to be a big thing. Emotion, going with those feelings of passion, is going to fuel you to go in a direction you prefer. And actually having an image. And the image could be a graphical representation of what you want. It could be a house, it could be a car, it could be a job, it could be a pile of money, it could be spiritual awakening, whatever you can do. Because the brain, the reticular activating system in the brain, responds to repetition, imagery, and emotion. So all of this is in the direction of, it's like a condensed course on how to redirect your life, but becoming aware that you're not your thoughts, those negative thoughts, you can let them go. You can start to create new thoughts. You can actually aim where you want to go by choosing what you want, getting an image of what you want, fueling it with passion and love, and then you can start to create it almost organically and automatically.